assures his supporters. President William Ruto has once again come to the defense of the controversial Finance Act, insisting that it contains tax measures that will not only benefit government in raising revenue to develop the country, but also tackle the challenge of unemployment. President Ruto, while launching development projects in Nyeri County, said taxes on imported building materials furniture have been increased to discourage importation and encourage growth of the sector locally. The head of state also defended the 1.5% housing levy deductions, saying it will resolve the unemployment crisis.
Hata kwa hii finance bill, tumesikia hii finance bill ambayo imepita juzi, wengine wamejaribu kutusumbua kule kotini, lakini mimi nataka niwaambie tukae chonjo, tuko pamoja, tutahakikisha kwamba kazi hiyo inasonga mbele. Tumeweka kwa hiyo finance bill ya kwamba hatutakuwa tunaagiza ile vitu ambayo vijana wa Kenya wanaweza kutengeneza. Tumesema hatutakuwa tunaagiza ati furniture, hatutakuwa tunaagiza simiti, hatutakuwa tunaagiza ati chuma ile inayokutumia kutengeneza manyumba. Vile tumesema hizo barabara zote tutazitengeneza, kwa sababu barabara ni ya muhimu, inawasaidia kupeleka mazao yenu sokoni, inatusaidia kwa mambo ya usafiri, inatusaidia kujenga uchumi, na hiyo ndio kazi ambayo tunataka tuondoe umaskini, tupeleke taifa letu la Kenya mbele. Vile tunapanga masomo ya watoto, vile tunataka kupanga ajira, vile watapata kazi. Hawa vijana wanaenda hapa kwa TVET ndio watatengeneza furniture, watengeneze vitanda, watengeneze viti, watengeneze meza. Kubaliana na sisi wote ya kwamba hii mambo ya maji ambayo tumekuja kufungua hapa leo, hii ni kionjo. Tumekubaliana na Waziri Alice, tunajenga dams ingine 100 Kenya ya kusukuma maji kila sehemu ya Kenya. Mambo ya maandamano ya fujo, ya kulete vita, kuharibu mali ya wananchi, kuharibu mali ya umma, ati kuchoma barabara, haitafanyika tena katika taifa letu la Kenya. Mimi najua nyinyi ni wakulima wa maziwa, si ni kweli? Na hatutaki bei ya maziwa iharibike tena. Wale ambao wamezoea kulete maziwa kutoka soko zingine, wanatuletea powder milk. Tumesema tunafunga barabara yote ya mambo ya powder milk. Tunataka maziwa ile iwe ni ile wakulima wetu wamezalisha.
Kwamba hao watu wananyanyasa wakulima ya kahawa, ya chai, ya maziwa, rais amenisimamia hapo nyuma ningangane na hiyo watu.
Mambo ya Mlima Kenya, hakuna kitu tuliandikania na wewe. Lakini kwa sababu wewe ni msema kweli, wewe ni muungwana, you are man of integrity, yale mambo yote tulisikizana utafanyia mambo ya Mlima Kenya, umetufanyia na ukatuongeza juu ya hayo.
Wanajaribu kusema watu waende kufungua masava na nini. Kwani mwaka mmoja imepita na ujui kwamba rais wa Kenya ni William Samoei Ruto? Si hiyo ni wazimu? Si unafiki kabisa? Si ni ukora?
Na ningependa kukuambia your visit here in Mukurweini has very serious historical significance. Kwa sababu hakuna rais mwingine ambaye amekalia mamlaka tangu wakati tulipata uhuru alikuja hapa kufanya maendeleo.
Kushukuru sana kwa sababu sasa tukiunganisha maji ya kulima, ile fertilizer subsidies, umasikini na jaa hapa umeisha kabisa.
Excellency, we will not let you down. Tuko na programs ambaye they cannot wait to be rolled out. Upande yangu wa maji niko na all these dams that are called the colonial dams. His Excellency has asked for an audit as we are planning to roll out the bigger work of the mega dams.
And the president also again he has set conditions for dialogue to continue between Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. Now, President William Ruto has set another condition for opposition members before the start of the dialogue between Kenya Kwanza and Azimio la Umoja. Now, he made the sentiments in Nyeri County during a 5-day tour of the Mount Kenya region after repeatedly saying there will be no handshake or power sharing. Now, speaking on Monday, President Ruto suggested that aside from opposing the handshake, Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga should also declare that he will stop violence before they continue with the stipulated talks. Now, President Ruto implied that the planned talks will be more successful if the opposition would declare their stand on violence.
If we agree on those two, that there is no handshake and there is no violence, then we can proceed as a country, we can discuss the rest of the things.
We want Kimani Ichung'wah at your team. Before you start these talks, you make it a condition that Raila Odinga and his team must denounce violence as a way of sorting political issues in this country.
Sisi ni wengi kushinda watu yako. Kwa hivyo wewe pana tisho sisi, watu wetu wako tayari kuvumilia ili mazungumzo yaendelee. Lakini ukileta fitina, basi Wakenya wako tayari.
We are ready to engage with you on the basis of mutual respect, not with threats, not with blackmail. You must not blackmail us, that if we don't do what you want, that you will go back to the streets. And we want to tell you, even those streets, if you want to go back, nendeni, mutapambana na wenye munapatana nao huko.
Na hii watu nitawakalia ngumu. Mimi siwezi kukubali tena. Imetosha. Ama namna gani jameni? Tunaelewana? Unajua wamezoea tabia mbaya. Walilete kisirani kwa Moi wakapata kitu. Wakalete kisirani kwa Kibaki wakalete pata nusu mkate. Wakakuja wakalete kisirani kwa Uhuru wakapata handshake. Hapa hakuna handshake, hakuna nusu mkate, hakuna chochote.
Sisi hatujasema hata siku moja tunataka kuwa ndani ya serikali ya Ruto. Mambo yanataka handshake. Handshake na mkono ambayo iko chafu. Utashika mkono ambayo iko chafu. Sitaki kushika mkono ya Ruto ambayo ni chafu. Sitaki.
We have agreed on Wednesday 11:30 a.m. we shall meet, but we want to meet in a public place like Bomas of Kenya, and we want cameras in that meeting so that you tell us and the people of Kenya want to hear what you are coming to transact in that room. Wakileta zingine tutawasikiza kwa heshima, lakini mambo ya cost of living, Mheshimiwa Rais, hiyo umewaambia na tunawaambia ndio kazi wananchi wa Kenya walikuajiri uwafanyie.
Is an account of the build up to the talks between the two government sides, that is opposition and the ruling party. Now, another blow to Kenyans as a court declines to suspend implementation of Finance Act 2023. Now, the High Court, where a 3-judge bench has now set the 13th and 14th of next month as the hearing dates of the case challenging the Finance Act 2023. Now, the High Court also declined to suspend sections of the Finance Act as sought by the petitioners challenging the act that took effect after the Court of Appeal lifted a suspension that was initially imposed by the High Court. A painful end month awaits Kenyans after the government backdated the housing levy to 1st July following the lifting of conservatory orders by the Court of Appeal.
If these people can't defend their affidavits, then the affidavits be struck off the records. We need a fair trial, and we need an equality of arms in this court. The ruling I've made is really not in my favor. It's prejudicial to my case if those affidavits remain on record and the authors cannot be cross-examined on them. They have made averments which are totally false and constitute perjury on this court. They have manufactured documents, and we want to put their feet to the fire.
Mr. Omtata, we have made a ruling.
I appreciate, my lord, but I think if we go in that direction, we are not serving justice. I need to be heard. I need a fair trial in this court. I need to cross-examine the Speaker of the Senate, who is my Speaker and my junior.
The National Assembly claims that our application is res judicata. It is not, because there's another mic that's on, my lord, and there's some bit of an echo. It is not res judicata, my lord, because the Supreme Court in John Florence, the locus classicus on res judicata, said that it must be between the same parties. We were not parties to the Court of Appeal proceedings. It must also raise the same issues. The issues are not the same, because here, my lord, we invoke the retroactive effect given after the Court of Appeal ruling. So retroactivity was not an issue before the Court of Appeal, could not have been an issue. And so that also goes for the cause of action, my lord. I also doubt if the court is the same, because we were not before that court. So simply it is not res judicata. And my lord, the Court of Appeal in its ruling orders, and that order is good for everyone, including this court, that the court, and I quote, can consider suspending portions of the act which have an irreversible effect and cannot be refunded. My lord, we've identified in our motion specific aspects of that act which have an irreversible effect and cannot be refunded. My lord, I also invoke another Supreme Court authority, and that is the SK Macharia case, for the principle that a legislation is unconstitutional if it is in the form of a bill of attainder. A bill of attainder attains someone, it makes you guilty before a trial. My lord, the Finance Act has penal consequences. There are at least 2 sections with imprisonment or fines as a penalty for default. Giving the Finance Act retroactive effect has the effect of adjudging people guilty without a trial, because they've gone back to the period covered by the court order and they're making the act active from then. You are guilty from 1st of July 2023. It also impairs contractual obligations, my lord. Employers have already paid out salaries and made returns. The act takes them back to 1st of July and imposes new obligations. My lord, it also divests vested rights. It fails all the 4 requirements in SK Macharia. And so we ask you, my lord, to suspend the specific provisions listed out in our notice of motion, and to further suspend any attempt at giving the Finance Act retroactive effect.
Provisions of Section 84 of the Finance Act creates a difficulty on the taxpayer, because it imposes an obligation both on the employer and the employee to deduct 1.5% towards the housing levy. Salaries have already been processed and paid.
We are not persuaded that we should exercise this jurisdiction at this stage, in view of the fact that those issues were all before the court when it made the decision. Must be recalled that this is a decision in rem, and it binds all the parties, whether they were before the court or not.
And away from matters the court, so we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're coming back with stories that are making headlines in the dailies. Keep it science.